So this is the KhoodeelaarTV television channel being broadcast on the internet under the banner of Baby Angel Geronimo editions. This edition is timed at 10:10 GMT on Monday, the 11th of September 2023. The people in Morocco, those who survived the earthquake that has killed many more people than has been published as having perished under the quake. People are not getting the help. The country is not getting the help. The emergency help that is reaching the people is not anywhere near the amount of needs, and the desperation is beyond description. People with bare hands are digging the earth, looking for survivors. And this is not just on this occasion. See, the disaster emergency organizations come up short of the need after each disaster. This is something that is not being given the kind of treatment, our emergency treatment, that it deserves. Looking at the amount of energy, resource, attention being paid to the continuation of the war in Ukraine as compared to the cries that are dominating the ether and the skies over Morocco. Totally out of all proportion. There should not be, and the resources being given to promoting war, there should be due attention and resources being made available to both the survivors and into the efforts of looking for finding the people who might still be alive under rubble and the debris. This must be changed forever. The emergency organizations, including the agencies of the United Nations, know the extent of the needs and the inadequacy of the provisions. And yet, looking at the headlines today or at any other day, there is not the kind of concern that should be there in the media about helping in time, on time, and adequately. So let us reiterate that it's completely criminal negligence by the agencies, by the makers of the decisions. Children, women, old people, elderly people perished. And God alone knows how many people are still breathing but are not being rescued, found, because there are not enough powerful devices being made available to find them. So we pray and we demand and we pray and we demand. Back on the United Kingdom and the Independent Online, which is published only online, independent.co.uk, has got this item today on the front page saying revealed Britain's new policing shame. And the tag is on the revelation that 70% of the criminals, also known as police, the sex offender criminals, 70% of the criminals are allowed to stay in the police forces, and the campaigners demanding that these criminals must be suspended immediately. But the campaigners demanding that, but it will not happen. There are tiers and layers of excuses by the ones that should be making the decision to suspend them. Well, sack them. I would say that these criminals, again, do not numerically represent all the criminals that there are in the police forces. Essentially, there should be an unconditional sacking of these criminals and the immediate and simultaneous indictment of the criminals, prosecution of these criminals. But it seems that the decision makers, so-called top post-holding decision makers, that list begins with the current incumbent in the post of the Commissioner of the London Metropolitan Police, called Rowley, Mark Rowley. Mark Rowley has been making false pretenses, saying, give us more powers to sack them, sack rogue police individuals. But he doesn't need the power. He has more than the power that is needed. But who is going to tell him that? Suella Ivila Cruella, the British Interior, that is the Home Secretary, is still sunk in her criminality, in her own criminality, blaming the most innocent people, the most vulnerable people, desperately struggling to reach safety, which is forever eluding them, forever being denied them by the victims of these desperate situation, being blamed for the wrongdoings of their or of their attackers and their tormentors. There is no sign of the political opposition in the so-called democracy in the United Kingdom. No sign of the political opposition fronted by the political murderer of the Labour Party, Keir Starmer, and his co-offenders, taking any action anywhere to stop criminality and stop the negligence and lack of care and cruelty immediately. There is no sign of that happening. The most noticeable aspect of the news around Keir Starmer is that his reshuffle allegedly has brought to the fore, to the front line, to prominent positions in the so-called Labour Party, Blairites. Now that's shocking. Since when has Tony Blair become the source of any legitimacy of anything? He's an undeniable mass murderer. He is behind the massacres that have been taking place for more than 20 years now. And the newspapers, the media, today, Monday, the 11th of September 2023, do not have any recognition of the war crimes committed by Tony Blair, George W. Bush, and their colluders, who remain given impunity and they are not being held to account. They have not been indicted, and it's impossible to see them being invited at any point in time at all. There are ongoing concerns about the lack of medical protection for the children, lack of medical protection for children that actually are exposed to the virus. Let's check the actual description of what they call the virus. Now, there is another independent co-UK heading about 30,000 babies being at risk from a deadly virus. So give us vaccine now. That is the heading. So what are they referring to as the virus? Now, there's ongoing pieces about crumbling schools, and Jeremy Hunt reportedly vowing to spend whatever it takes to fix the crumbling schools. So, what are they talking about when they're referring to the virus? And let's check if we can. So So this piece about the virus is by Rebecca Thomas, health correspondent. Babies could be needlessly hospitalized this winter because the government has delayed a vaccine that protects them from a life threatening virus. The Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health president warns. Dr. Camilla Kingdon said she was frustrated by delays in introducing a new vaccine for respiratory syn- syncy- syncytial virus. Well, that's the pronunciation I can manage. Respiratory syncytial virus, which drives 30,000 hospital admissions each winter and leads to dozens of deaths. So that's what it is called, syncytial respiratory virus or respiratory syncytial virus, which drives 30,000 hospital admissions each winter and leads to dozens of deaths. Dr. Camilla Kingdon warned it meant thousands of children's operations will be cancelled as RSV, that is what it is abbreviated to, respiratory syncytial virus. Patients fill up beds. The United Kingdom's most senior A&E doctor, Dr. Adrian Boyle, said the government's failure to prepare the NHS for winter could see thousands of people die unnecessarily. Notice that phrase. That is the phrase, the combined phrases. Thousands of people dying unnecessarily. It's a casual statement. Not one person should be allowed, or to put it another way, not one person should be denied the vital life-saving treatment. There is another piece. There's a picture on the Telegraph, Daily Telegraph front page of Harry Windsor. Harry Windsor being pictured in that particular photo, very animated and very excited, and clearly very happy at the outcome at the games, Invictus Games, that he is attending in a German location. This is this has been described correctly as being the one event that Harry can 100% claim this is nothing to do with the ongoing lies that the Daily Mail and this are publishing or are prone to publish against him. This is something that he has authored, and I think as well that he should be allowed all the legitimate freedom and space and time to expand this initiative. Expand this initiative that would help critically in need soldiers, ex soldiers. The fact that he has been doing this and the fact that this event is back in the kinds of front page mode shows that it is possible that Harry will recover from the onslaughts from the Murdoch scum and the Beaverbrook, of course, but the Daily Mail as well. If he can keep his focus on, then he can still achieve the progress that Invictus Games can be moved along the lines that will help so many people and recognize so many individual ex soldiers who have been injured and who have been in very, very serious, urgent needs of recognition. What else is there in the main news events we shall look at? This is 11:33 British Standard Time, which is 10:33 GMT on Monday, 11th September 2023. The Guardian website says the parliamentary researcher arrested on suspicion of spying for China says he is completely innocent. This is an item that the Guardian Online has posted 4 minutes ago. And this is the item being treated by the Guardian as the main one of the many news events being featured. Now, there is a heading to a piece next to that item about Morocco earthquake for foreign rescuers head for quake zone in race to find survivors. 1 hour ago, that was. And one survivor says that my neighbors dug for me with bare hands and they found them. And it is a miracle that should be repeated constantly and with vigor to find every single one still breathing underneath the rubbles and underneath the collapsed buildings in Morocco. The collapse of the retail outlet, Wilkinson's, popularly known as Wilco, the bid by HMB owners to buy most of the shop collapses, it says. And in Spain, the kissing scandal triggered by Luis Rubiales. This report says the Rubiales is about to resign. And back in the United Kingdom, in the context of the Brexit disinformation, apparently the head of the Foreign Office, former Foreign Office chief, admits telling colleagues he voted to stay in EU. Well, why should that be a news at all? And they've got to found an excuse to give the Ukraine warmonger Zelensky a photo opportunity with the congenital liar Boris Johnson, both of whom are pictured in this piece, which is shown as having been posted 8 hours ago on the Guardian front page. Its heading is Zelensky urged to intervene in case of British soldier who deserted to fight in Ukraine. An item from Chile says a fascist tried to electrocute these artists, the musicians who took on the Chilean junta. And there is a mourning tribute to the cart horse called Tony, who took part in supporting his humans' war against the Nazis. It's a piece from the USA 20 minutes ago, byline to Robert Reich, which reads Third party candidate will help Trump win. There's a very, very appropriate cartoon on the Times. James stupidly, cleverly is shown as kneeling in front of a and on the back of the kneeling cleverly, stupidly is an apparently completely stupid Rishi Sunak pointing his finger at Z. And still, Z comes across Rishi elevated. And there's a piece by Trevor Terrible called P-Lips, who is celebrating evilness Starmer's elevation of McFadden is a nasty piece of work who is cruel, evil, selfish, and many others mentioned like him. But the nearest one that comes to mind is, of course, Tony Parsons on the Dirty Digger Rupert Murdoch's Come on Sunday. Yes, Come on Sunday. Tony Parsons. These people don't represent enlightenment. These, all of them, represent darkness, backwardness, and most certainly they have nothing but contempt for the person promoting their images or the images of those they actually attach themselves to promoting. Tony Parsons and Pat McFadden, both of them, they resemble one another so closely, so eerie. They both claim origins in the so-called working class. But what they peddle is the exact opposite, not only the exact opposite of working class, but they peddle shamelessly and cruelly and evilly, peddle the annihilation of all quality, independence, and all rights to dissent from the mainstream that these two typically kind of represent. Those criminals want to banish Tony McPherson. And the imagery that Tony Parsons and McFadden can be associated with. The imagery of the people campaigning for justice, denied injustice, and derided by these two so called working class. If they are working class, it, it is illogical that they could credibly support forces that are inimical to ordinary working class people. The fact that the Times and the Guardian example of Tony Parsons and Pat McFadden, for example, shows the complicity by the Guardian with the criminality inherent in the ongoing murderous program fronted by Keir, the political murderer of the Labour Party, Starmer. Let's check on the other items. Well, entire hamlets refuse and cleaning workers, entire hamlets, have announced a strike. Entire hamlets council refused one street cleaners to cause major disruption in a 2-week strike. Now, there is no mention of the serious issues concerning the proposed handing over of the council housing stock given to THCH over to Haque, which itself is the controller of the largest numbers of council housing stock that was handed over to Popular Haque by Tony Blair. There is no sign of any action to stop this. We shall be ending this particular edition 42 minutes at 10:54 GMT, and we shall continue on all the topics that are